Black's property that's just north of the airport at Slater Road. I think the administration prefers the Ralph Black's property off the Slater Road, and we've been having some basic discussions with him about that, but ultimately the decision's going to be made by the county council. Now, the money, the whole issue of money has really been made more difficult because of the recession we're involved in today. We collect, as you are aware, we started collecting in the mid part of the last decade, a jail sales tax, and that was designed to build a minimum jail, to pay for the operation of that minimum jail, and to begin the process to acquire a new jail. And we were actually hopeful that we could acquire something in the neighborhood of about 590 to 600 beds over time, and sell the warehouse space that currently serves the jail on Division Street. Revenues are down significantly. As an example, the sales tax revenues that we collected in 2010 were down about 13 or 14% from 2008. And you have to compare that to where we used to be. You could count on sales tax rising roughly about 5% a year, each and every year as the population would grow and economic activity would grow. And so that 13% is really a much larger number, because instead of going up like this, it dropped down, and it's basically been flat or slightly below. But we're actually below in 10 sales tax numbers than we were at in 2009. So our ability to think of that as being an elastic source is just not there. However, we still think that dealing with the issues we have with the jail are one of the fundamental problems you have as a county government. I was talking to one of the council members today, and I mentioned to them my own view of the world. I was also talking to the sheriff today, but we were talking about the history of jails. Bill and I had a long conversation about a number of things today. And you know, the history of county government, I want to put this in the context of this, because whether you serve here for 4 years or 20 years, really what you come to grips with is the history of this government is basically constantly trying to achieve or solve the problem of inadequate jail space. Achieve more jail space, or try to resolve the lack of jail space that the community has. You can't avoid a jail. You have to deal with it. You have to build it. It's not a should we or shouldn't we. It's that you have to have a jail for a functioning civil society. And it's just the nature of what it takes to operate in what size you need to be an effective justice system, to maintain good criminal justice and public safety in the community. So on that size issue, I think the administration, where the administration tends to be going right now is we tend to come back to the figure that we talked to the voters about back in 2005, which is about 590 beds. We're currently at 450, roughly 440, roughly about 440. But we think that for the next few years, something in the neighborhood of about 590 beds will move us along with the ability to somehow plan for growth, so it doesn't become a whole major process to rebuild and site a new jail. If we think about and plan for 60, 70, 80 years, then that would be a gift to the next generations of leaders that come into this community. That's really what we have been interested in doing. We're going to have a couple other points. We're going to have a public forum, or public hearing meeting on this issue that's been called by the executive on February the 3rd. And I guess Wendy and I have been tapped to be part of a little modest presentation. And then there'll be a series of questions and then some discussions that will involve the sheriff and the executive. And I really hope the council members can come to that, or will come to that as well. And that doesn't prevent, by the way, any other public forums or public hearings that could take place. I mean, this is a big decision that has to be made in the community. Building a jail Citing and building a jail is one of those core major decisions that need to be made properly. And so it doesn't necessarily have to be forced.